Okay. Trying to see if I have audio. Okay, good. Trying to see if I have audio. Okay, so we're going to turn that down. So YouTube, we are up. And let's go ahead and get LinkedIn started. Hey guys, if you're viewing me over on YouTube, just know that, just give me a second because I'm getting everything ready to go. So I'm trying to see if it will go live on LinkedIn. And then we'll start Instagram. Okay, so give me a second. We're going to start. Just give me a second on YouTube, guys. Okay, let's see if LinkedIn is working. Give me 1 second, guys. Paste. As you know, I am learning how to stream. And so, so if I can't get the LinkedIn up, that will be fine. I don't know. Let's see. There we go. Let's see if that did it. We are waiting. Thank y'all for being patient with me. Good. There we go. Looks like we are up. There we go. And now we're going to start Instagram. Okay. Yep. There we go. Alrighty. So we are going live on Instagram and we're going live on YouTube and LinkedIn. And so, anywho, so I am going to move my computer just a tad bit. Okay, so, all right. So, hey guys, this is Kim. I'm back. We're back with another live. For those who don't know who I am, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Kimberly Ellis. I'm also known as Kim E, the Diabetes MP. And I specialize in best practices, best clinical practices with diabetes care. And I have really shifted a lot of my content and will continue to shift my content where I am really highlighting that through 3 pillars. And those 3 pillars will be, well, they are preventative care, also patient-centered care that is very culturally responsive care. And then lastly, the 3rd pillar is effective provider and patient engagement. With all 3 of those, you know, going ahead and assuming that we're already practicing at the standards, and we're also practicing evidence-based medicine. This is These are the things that I feel that can really help you be the differentiator as a clinician, even as a healthcare system. And so today we're going to be talking about something very exciting. Today is February the 1st. It is the beginning of Black History Month. And so I really wanted to come on here and will continue to come on throughout the month and really just talk about how we as providers can really be better at engaging minority populations and, of course, Black patients that have diabetes. And so what I would like to do today is really set the foundation and really just give some practicals over how we can do this. I think I think it's an understood thing that we should be practicing culturally competent care. We should really be, making sure that it's patient-centered and patient-focused. But we really don't talk about like how. How do we go about doing that? And what that's going to look like, not only for Black communities, but any marginalized population, any unique population. And to be quite honest with you, we're all a part of some type of unique population, okay? And so I do have my little notes here on my phone. And so I wanted to just really with this live, really set the foundation on what that's going to look like for us all. So first off, before we even get into the different vulnerable populations and things like that, I really want to go through just some stats, okay? Because we hear our statistics and we really need to know where we're at, okay? Just as a nation, we need to know where we're at in general with diabetes and how it's affecting us in general, okay? And in some of these stats, I'm gonna be honest with you, they've changed, and that was something that really surprised me. Okay, so first and foremost, in America, there are about 34 million Americans that are affected by diabetes, and really, when you break that down, that's 1 in 10 adults. Okay, 1 in 10 adults have diabetes. Now, catch this: when it comes to prediabetes, these are people who are not quite classified as having diabetes, but their blood sugars are higher than normal. They don't quite meet the threshold for diabetes, but blood sugar is abnormal. It's higher than usual. And that number is actually higher than the diabetes number, 88 million. Now, here's the change here. Now, up until last year, every time I would pull the stat, it always said 88 million. And when it comes to like statistics, they do it over time. They don't pull them necessarily every single year. You can find statistical reports that gives us kind of like our report card over the year. But when you're looking at like a lot of the stats that you're looking at, it kind of goes over time. We pull for a time, you know what I'm saying? And so last year, at the end of last year, when I was looking at the statistics, it said 88 million. But today, when I pulled the stats, it says that 96 million people are affected, 96 million American adults, which is approximately 1 in 3 people have prediabetes. And we're not going to even talk about people who have it but don't know it, because that's included in this number, right? So anyways, when it comes to ethnic populations and demographics, let's really talk about how this number is spread out with different ethnic populations. So they have 5 different categories. We have our non-Hispanic whites, non-Hispanic Blacks, Asian Americans, we have our Hispanics, and then American Indians / Alaskan Natives. So these are the 5 categories that they're lumping pretty much all Americans in. And the highest on this list is at almost 15%, American Indians, Alaskan Natives. Number 2 on this list is Hispanics. Number 3 on this list is at almost 12%. Is non-Hispanic Blacks. And I don't know if I said the number for Hispanics, it's 12.5. So Hispanics and Blacks are right there neck and neck at 12 and 12.5% of the overall number. And then Asian Americans at 9.2, and then non-Hispanic Blacks 7.5%. That's across the board, that overall number of 34 million. Those are the percentages if you see a pie chart, okay? So that's where we're at. Those are our stats at this point. And really, when you're talking specifically about the Black community and the disparities that are in the Black community and how diabetes affects the Black community, non-Hispanic Blacks are twice as likely than non-Hispanic Blacks to die from diabetes. Okay, African American adults are 60% more likely than white adults to be diagnosed with diabetes by a physician. Black people are 3.2 times more likely to be diagnosed with end-stage renal disease compared to their white counterparts. And then lastly, Black adults are 2.3 times more likely to be hospitalized for lower limb amputation as compared to their white counterparts. Now, all of these stats have been pulled and looked at from recent years, and they're constantly pulling statistics. We're constantly doing research, and so these are recent numbers. Okay, these are live and active numbers that are constantly going up and fluctuating. And so what does this mean to us? What does this show us about it? Well, for one, I had a good conversation with a colleague, and she pointed out something that was very interesting. I think as providers, we sometimes can get into the habit of always talking about the patient and what the patient isn't doing and what the patient should be doing. We're really quick to use words like non-compliance and non-adherence. What the patient is not doing, they're not complying with the treatment plan. But one thing that we don't talk about are the areas that we can do better in. Now, I will be honest with you, and I don't know if this is a conversation that people are ready to have yet, but I will tell you this. You don't get these types of numbers just off the backs of patients, okay? What this tells me is that there are some things that we can do, that we should be doing to be better at this. The screening, the being able to screen. I understand people, we talk a lot about referring, we talk a lot about getting people out to specialists, but there's a lot of things that we can do that cost us nothing, and one of those things are just screening, making sure that our patients are getting the preventative care, that they're getting their eyes checked, that they're going to the appropriate specialist, that we're doing things in office, that we're asking the right questions. Some of this stuff can start with us, okay? And that's what those numbers mean to me. That's what those numbers definitely mean. Hold on, let me read what you say. Medical speech for that. Yes. And really, honestly, as far as language is considered, as we're going towards, not just in healthcare, just in life in general, we're starting to really realize how, what our words are and the weight that they carry. And we need to use the right verbiage. And really, honestly, non-compliant, non-adherence is really not a very positive use. It's not a very positive verb, adjective, because it implies that somebody has failed. It does not evoke positive behavior, and so we actually, as we're moving towards, and there's many articles that are out there, especially a lot of people have studied, our words mean things. And when you say things like, well, you're not being adherent to the plan, what does that really say to our patients? And so the words, we could talk about language. That's a whole nother conversation, y'all. And so, yes. And so, part of this is this. So, like I said, these numbers that I shared with you all, yes, I understand totally that we have patients that they don't know. We have patients that no matter, we can shout to the tops of the mountains, they're still not going to do what we're saying. I'm not speaking about just those patients. I'm speaking about the patient that's coming in and is willing and wanting, but yet and still, we are not engaging that patient as we should. Okay, we come down on patients, but the whole poor screening, low treatment is yes. Okay, over here, clinical inertia. They also call that therapeutic inertia when we don't do something. That's a whole term. I'm reading comments off of YouTube over here. There's something called treatment inertia, and as Christine over here on YouTube mentioned, clinical inertia. And she, one of her comment says, we come down on patients, but that whole poor screening, low treatment picture is 50% part of it. Words hold power for sure. Yes, we have to own our parts in this. Okay, you don't get numbers like this. You don't get complications like this all because of the patients. There's some things that we could have done earlier on. We could have been more aggressive with screening earlier on. And I see that a lot. I cannot tell you how many patients that I have seen that have had amputations where they were telling their provider, I have a problem in my foot. This sore is not getting better. Can I go somewhere? No, it's okay. Just put the medicine on it. We got to own our part. And I'm not saying that that's the whole part. It's not the whole part, y'all. But we know, come on, if you're doing some self-reflection, we know how we can get. And some of it is not because you don't care. A lot of it is we're busy. And we're really faced with, we have so much to do, we have so little time to do it. And I get it. And there's so many things that we can do. A lot of stuff is not systemized. It's not, you're really pulling from so many different sources. It's kind of hard to keep up with all that. I get it. Okay. I get it. Okay. So anyways, like I said, those numbers just don't come from just the patients and their down and what they're not doing. That we have to own our part in some of this as well. And another thing, what this also means when you're looking at all these stats, I mean, the categories, the top out of the 5 categories, the top 4 are all minority ethnic groups. So minorities are affected at a high level, disproportionate level than our white counterparts. So we have to ask the question, why? We have to get to a place where we have to start, we need to acknowledge, but we also have to start to explore why. Can't explore why until we acknowledge that there's an issue. What's going on here? Why is this? It isn't just, well, minorities, this is what they, no. There's too many studies out there that says that there's no difference in between A1Cs across ethnic groups. So what is causing this? What is the issue here, right? And so assuming that we're all starting at the standard, okay? Assuming that we're all practicing at the standard of care, assuming that we're all using evidence-based treatment, I would have to say one of the things among many has to be probably how we're implementing our care. How are we going about implementing the standards? And let's just park here for a little bit, okay? Now, if you've been following me for any amount of time, I have plenty of information on, my channel, especially on YouTube, Kimmy, the Diabetes MP over medications. I had a medication course. I have cheat sheets that are out there. I have recently gone over the standards of care, some of them, and you already know I'm not saying throw off the standards. We can't. Honestly, legally, we can't. The standards are there for a reason. But one thing about the standards, in any standard or any guideline for that matter, there's always a statement in there that talks about clinical judgment. It always leaves room for your clinical judgment. It also always leaves room for the patient and the individual situation for the patient. What's going on there? They allow you to make allowances for that individual patient. It's not individual racial group. It's not individual gender group. It's for that individual, not the collective, but the individual, right? And so I have found that we can spend a lot of time on the what and like, what do we do and when should we do it? but we're not focusing a lot on how we should do it. Okay. And it's almost like we glaze right over that. Like almost like it's understood we all know how to implement care, but actually we don't. And really none of us do until we get into the thick of it. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to be honest. And if you are looking and dealing with a patient that maybe it's from a population you've never dealt with before, you're green to them, right? You're green. If you've never taken care of a population such as, let's say, homeless population, you know, there are some challenges that you're going to have to take some time to look up into, okay, how do I approach this patient, right? And this goes with any type of group, right? So anyways, one of the things that I have really seen, it's really one of the things we really need to dig into is how we engage with our patients, and definitely how we engage with our minority populations, how we engage with our Black community. Now, I'm going to get a lot more into that later on in the month because there's nuance, there's levels to it, right? But I do want to really talk about patient engagement and why this is important, okay? So just for definition's sake, patient engagement is a broader concept that combines patient activation with interventions designed to increase activation and promote positive patient behavior. So we engage patients to activate them, to get them to be active, to take an active role in their care, because truth be told, we can't do this by ourselves and they can't do it by themselves either. It's a collaborative relationship where both parties are participating in the care. And so effective patient engagement, it does three things. They call it the triple A. It improves our health outcomes, it provides better patient care, and it decreases our costs, our healthcare cost. Now, one thing that nobody told me when I became a nurse practitioner, I'm gonna be honest with you, is how we are income revenue generating entities. It's almost like you're a registered nurse, or at least for me, I was working at the bedside and I was taking out orders one day. And then the next day I became what is considered a provider, and I'm having to consider cost all over the place. I'm trying to consider how much it's going to cost the patient, how much it's going to cost the facility. How can I, what can be afforded? What do we need to spend our money on? What do we not need to be what doesn't need to be spent money on? But like, you have to consider cost. You have to consider cost. And that's what patient engagement will do. It will improve our patient outcomes. It will improve the patient care that we deliver, and it will decrease our healthcare costs, lower our costs. Okay. So something else I want to talk about too as well is when it comes to provider patient engagement, you can't talk about provider patient engagement without considering culturally competent care. Now, I've said this before on my channels, on my different platforms. I don't really like the word culturally competent care, because to me, when I hear that, that makes me think that we're just doing the bare minimum. Actually, we should be responsive. And I think that's the problem that we're having, is that, yeah, we acknowledge that we have people who are different from us and that are from diverse populations. But what are we doing with that? Are we actually using that information to deliver better care to patients? And, we just sit on the information almost. Like, the patient's telling you what they prefer, but it's almost like we're not listening. And part of that does play a part in the person's culture as well. And so you really cannot engage a patient. You cannot have patient-centered care if you're not considering their culture. Okay. And so let me give just a couple of practicals. And to some, this may be very, very simple. And to others, it may be simple, but you know what? I didn't really think about it like that. Okay. So I'm going to give just a couple of different simple practicals here. Now, as this relates to the Black community, one thing that we have to acknowledge is that there is a mistrust when it comes to healthcare with this country and when it comes to healthcare in this country. Okay. And it's not just with it's just not with the Black community. It's with a lot of different marginalized populations, and rightly so. If we do a whole historical pool of all the things that have happened over centuries and even the inception of this country, I mean, you kind of got to be like, okay, I can see why people of certain generations don't like doctors. I can see why they don't like coming in to see us. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? You're a part of that. I'm a part of that. Because I am a healthcare provider, even though I'm a Black woman, part of two marginalized populations, I still have people who look just like me who is like, I don't know, I think you work for the man. I can't tell y'all how many times I've heard that. I don't know, you may work for the man. Then you can tell I work with the older generation. So I get it all. I get it all. You know what I'm saying? And so even with me being a part of the Black community, I have to understand that when I'm coming in and having a patient encounter with people, like this is something that they're bringing into the encounter with them. Okay. I need to acknowledge that. And then I need to accept it and understand that this is a reality for people, and rightly so. Okay. And what am I going to do to break down this barrier? And something so simple is build trust. Just build trust. Now, you may say, that's obvious, Kim, but you'll be surprised how it's not implemented. Okay. Let me tell you what trust is not. Trust is not dismissing what people are saying. Trust is not looking people in the eyes and having a conversation, active listening, motivational interviewing. That's what trust is not. Those things promote trust. That's what we should be doing, okay? And again, I coming from knowing fully what we are dealing with every single day. We're all busy, y'all. All of us are busy. All of us have a ton of patients and a lot of things on our list to do, okay? And it is so easy. Sometimes dismissive behavior can really look like a patient coming in telling you that they're having an issue, you not even saying anything about it, and you just refilling their medicines, going off, see you in 3 months. Okay, now maybe that's not you every time, but you do have to ask yourself, have I ever been so rushed where I didn't give somebody the proper time? And I understand, we all know that people can get long-winded, okay? That's part of motivational interviewing. We're still guiding the conversation. We're still asking, important questions, but questions that are going to lead us to the answers we need to get, right? And you can do that in a way that people feel like they're still being heard. You know what I'm saying? Really, my motto a lot of times is I really try to work smarter and not harder. I think sometimes we can waste too much time on some things, and that makes us skimp on the things that we really need to kind of lean into, And so, bottom line, if I could just sum it all up, people do not trust you. If they don't trust you, they won't listen to you. And if they don't listen to you, they're not going to do any treatment that you prescribe. And I want to also reiterate here that even if you are a minority, we all can be viewed as part of the machine. We're all viewed as a part of the machine. I've even been told I was a sellout by somebody. I was like, what? I really did. I remember, I was like, okay. And like I said, I'm sitting here, a Southern Black woman, but yet and still I'm being told by another Black person, you working a part of the man. You probably a part of all the schemes anyway. No, not part of any schemes, But anyways, guys, I wanted to just come on, talk to you guys about this. I'm going to be doing weekly lives throughout the month where I'm going to be coming in and talking about more so about how we can better gauge the how. Okay. Again, if you need or you want to know more about what we do, when we do it, I have videos that go over the algorithm treatments. I have I have videos that go over the different medications. But listen, it doesn't matter what the medication is if the patient's not going to take it. So how are you going to get them to listen to you? If you can't even do that, it doesn't matter what that algorithm says. If they don't even want to come in and see you. And so, anywho, guys, thank y'all for hanging out with me. I'm about to get ready to go in here and work out and try to be, snatched, as the children say. But anyways, again, if you're not following me here on Instagram, I assume that you are. If you're here, follow me here. Also, hop over on LinkedIn, Kimberly Ellis, the Diabetes MP. I would love for you to follow me over there as well. And if you'd like to do YouTube, my YouTube channel is Kimmy, the Diabetes MP. And so I will probably get back up on here on a live. I'm going to try to do this on Tuesday, just kind of like getting back into the groove of my Tuesday tips. On Sunday, a video will be going out. It's not going to be a live. I've already shot it and it's ready to go. But just things to help us really to think about how we approach our patients in the Black community that have diabetes. And so I hope you guys will like the content that's to come. And anywho, guys, I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good one.